Good morning or evening or whatever time that you're watching this. Oh, let me. This is my Wednesday night Bible study, even though it's Wednesday morning. Um, it's September 28th. My name is Douglas Griffin. Let's see. We are in the book of John. We're in John. We're finishing John chapter 9 and about to do John chapter 10. So I just said it's John chapter 10, part 1. Basically, we're going to finish. Just to recap, uh, we're in the last 6 months of Jesus' ministry. It's 3.5 years. Uh, he came to Jerusalem. So there's three parts, right? There's northern Jerusalem, northern Israel, where Galilee and all that stuff is, uh, where all the disciples are from, except for Judas. There is the central Israel, where Samaria is, and they don't like Samaritans. And then there's southern Israel, where Jerusalem is located, where the temple is located, and where they really feel like we know God. And that's kind of the problem that Jesus is having to address. They feel so strongly that they know exactly who God is and what's going on and what God's thinking, and that that they're not listening to anything that Jesus is saying. I, I'm going to send a message to my sister. Watch my Bible study now. And I'm going to write right now. Because you're going to go right now? Yes. Okay. So, um, Jesus came down in October for the Festival of Tabernacles, the Feast of Tabernacles. This is now a month or so later, a month or two later, a couple months later. And he's doing kind of the last big miracle he's going to do before all the crucifixion stuff starts. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is going to heal a blind man. And he knows that that's going to cause controversy and that they're going to bring the blind man before the Pharisees. Now, he's doing this because this is one of the prophecies of what will happen when the Messiah comes. I'm going to heal the blind. Because he's giving them every opportunity to recognize that he is the Messiah. So, in the last part, so he's healed the blind man. Uh, the blind man, however, never saw Jesus because Jesus didn't wait while he went to wash his eyes in the pool of Siloam. So, if you recall, Jesus spit on the ground, made a little mud pack, put it on his eyes, used his saliva. So he used, and they believed that saliva had curative properties, which it does. Um, and he's mixing that with the dust of the earth, which was a creative miracle when God created Adam and Eve. He created them from the dust of the earth. So he's doing a creative miracle and using a natural miracle that God's already put, like our immune system, God has already given to us to ward off certain diseases, right? So let me use what God's already given and then do this brand new thing, mix it together. He put it on his eyes. He sends the guy to um, the pool of Siloam and tells him to wash. And then, but when the guy washes and he suddenly can see, Jesus isn't standing there. So the guy really has no idea what Jesus looks like. Very significant. Who he is, because Jesus is going to approach him later just to see what the guy's thinking without the guy having to put on a pretense. So the man who approaches him, he doesn't know that that's Jesus. He doesn't know that's the man who healed him. So Jesus is able to ask him some questions to see what the guy's really thinking. And that's very good. A friend of mine is Jewish but does not look Jewish. And he loves it because my Bible study right now. Okay. He loves it because he gets to future clients, he gets to hear what they really think because he doesn't look Jewish. Uh, but every so often something Jewish will come up and then he gets to hear his clients say what they really think. And some of them don't become clients because he goes, I see what you really think. And not what you just would put on in front of me. Okay, so that's what Jesus is doing with this gentleman. So in John chapter 9, we're going to start then in John chapter 9. I'm just going to review a little bit. This gentleman who's been healed is brought before the Pharisees. And instead of being glad, they are quite upset that this is happening in front of them, um, because it challenges them. If that really is the Messiah, then people are going to start listening to him and not to us. And it turns out we don't want the Messiah to come back. We just want all the attention it comes from talking about the Messiah coming back. All the praise that we get and all the adoration, the gifts we're able to collect because we're talking about it. I will say that there are people who sometimes profit from the Bible in a certain way, that they'll talk about the Bible in a certain way. And so send in money because the world's going to end any day now. Some people, not everybody who says this, but some people, they really don't want the world to come to an end. They don't really believe the world's going to come to an end. They just like the attention that comes when they preach about the world coming to an end and tell you to send in money because the world's coming to an end. And they want this to go on for 50 years. If the world ends tomorrow, they'd be upset because how are we going to keep making money? But as long as we can keep scaring people into thinking the world's going to, we can sell all these things to them. I'm not saying everybody who does that is like that. I'm just saying certain people are like the Pharisees. So we preach about the Messiah is coming, so you guys better get right. And you better tithe and you better give your money in order to get right because the Messiah is coming back. Now the Messiah is standing in front of them, they don't want to hear it. So they bring the blind guy in. They bring the blind man in and they're questioning him. And how do we know that you were really born blind? And so it says in John chapter 9, verse 29, it says, we know that God spoke to Moses, but as for this fellow, we do not know where he is from. So the man answered and said to them, okay, so they asked the man, who cured you? He says, I don't know. I didn't see him, but I just know that I was blind and now I see. Well, where is he from? And he says to him, how could you not know where he's from if he opened blinded eyes? He's thinking, obviously, he's from God. The scripture said that I will send my servant and he will open up, the lame will walk and the blind will see. So you've never heard of a blind man suddenly getting his sight back. So you know this has got to be a miracle. So what do you mean? uh, of course, you know where he's from. He opened my blinded eyes. That's why they say, okay, we know that God spoke to Moses, but as for this fellow, we don't know where he's from. Oh, I'm sorry. Now the man says that in verse 30. The man answered and said to them, why, this is a marvelous thing that you don't know where he's from. Yet he opened my eyes. So now we know that God does not hear sinners, but if anyone is a worshiper of God and does his will, he hears him. So God's not going to answer a sinful prayer. Yes, God hears sinners. Otherwise, how could sinners get saved? But if sinners prayed, Lord, give me more cocaine right now, God's not going to answer a sinful prayer. So if you're asking for a righteous prayer, then so you know he's righteous because look how God answered this prayer and my eyes were opened, right? So if anyone is a worshiper of God and does his will, he hears him. So if you're doing what God wants, then it happens. Since the world began, it has been unheard of that anyone opened the eyes of one who was born blind. So if this man were not from God, he could do nothing. It's like you couldn't even do anything. So clearly he's from God. So they answered and said to him, you were completely born in sins, and are you teaching us? And they cast him out. All right. So now everything that happens from here on, from Genesis, John chapter 9, verse 35 up until John chapter 10, verse 21, it's all the same conversation. People have tried to make John chapter 10 about something else, but it's all the same conversation. In fact, in John chapter 10, verse 35, Jesus is talking to them, and it says, others said, these are not the words of one who has a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind? And they're still having that same conversation because Jesus now shows up and he starts talking to the man who's born blind. And of course, a crowd gathers because crowds follow Jesus wherever he went. And he's talking. So the whole conversation is about this blind man and what the Pharisees did to him. They kicked him out of the synagogue. So that's what Jesus is going to say. See, these Pharisees, they are bad people. If you follow them, so you have a choice. You can follow the Pharisees or follow me, but they're leading you to hell. There's nothing else that Jesus is talking about. There's no one else he's talking about. He's only talking about the Pharisees and how bad they are and what they did to this man. And that people, if you can either listen to them because they teach that I'm not the Messiah, or you can listen to me. These are your choices. He's not talking about anything else, and you'll see that when I get there. Okay, so Jesus heard they'd cast him out. Verse 35. Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and when he found him, he said to him, "Do you believe in the Son of God?" Again, the man that has no idea who this is talking to him. Just some person has come up to him and said, "Do you believe in the Son of God?" So um, he answered and said, "Well, who is he, Lord, that I may believe in him?" So he said, "Lord." No, he did. Teacher, who? Tell me who he is. And Jesus says to him, verse 37, "You have both seen him right now, and it is he who is talking with you." So then he said, "Well, Lord, I believe." And he worshiped him. So, oh, you're the guy. Okay. And he was good. Okay, what's Robin saying? Numerous stops and repeats, so I think it is caught in a loop. Oh, well, I hope it gets better. I'm sorry about that, Robin. Hope it gets better. Hope it gets better. Okay. Anyway, hope it gets better. So sorry if you're having a hard time. Okay. So Jesus says in verse 39, "For judgment I have come into this world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may be made blind." And that is so interesting. So now he's not saying I came to judge the world. For judgment I came to the world. In order for God to institute judgment, I came to the world. He says, I'm the dividing line. I'm the dividing line. And so you either believe in me and get mercy, or you don't and get judgment falls on you. But that's why I came into the world, so people can make a decision. I'm the decision maker. But I mean, I'm the decision that you have to make. In Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8 through 9, it says, "Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? Then I said, here am I. Send me." And he said, "Go and tell this people, keep on hearing but do not understand. You keep on seeing but do not perceive." Now it says keep on hearing, but it means you keep on hearing, but do not understand. You keep on seeing, but you really don't perceive. So your eyes are open, but you can't see. You hear, but you don't understand. So Jesus says, "I came in the world that those who do not see," so those who feel like they're blind, like this blind man, will seek an answer and they'll eventually be seeing. But those who think they see, they think, I'm good. And that attitude is going to make ultimately blind you to what's going on, because this is a decision. You're either going to see or you're going to be made blind. So you can either look at what Jesus did and open the eyes of this blind man, or you're um, you're either going to see what he did or and believe, or you're going to refuse to believe, and that will make you then blind to everything else. John chapter 3, verse 17 through 21. It says, "For God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved." So Jesus is not condemning anybody. He sent him in as a decision point. That's all. You get to decide now what you're going to do. It's like putting the tree in the Garden of Eden. Don't eat that. I put it there so that you can make a choice either to believe me or not. God's all about choices. I set before you blessing and cursing, life and death. Choose life. Choose blessing. Choose the Messiah. Choose not to eat from the tree. But here's the consequences if you do. So God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He who believes in him is not condemned, but he who does not believe is condemned already because he's not believed in the name of the only begotten Son. So you don't have to wait till Judgment Day. You choose not to believe, your condemnation is set. On Judgment Day, you'll be sent off to your prison cell, but you're condemned already because you chose not to believe. So, and those who believe, you're saved already. You don't have to wait till Judgment Day to get saved. We're not standing in line. Oh, am I going to get saved or not? You're saved now. It's done. And this is the condemnation. This is how it works itself out. Light is coming to the world, and men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. So there's light. You either step into the light. Somebody turn the light on over there. I can step into the light, or I can stay in darkness. So lights come. You can either go, oh, thank God for the light, or you can just stay in darkness. Your choice. But the light does not condemn you. You condemn yourself. But he who does the truth comes to the light, that his deeds may be clearly seen, that they have been done in God. Most assuredly, I say to you. Now I'm just wondering, because of what Robin said, if if anybody, if this message is being heard, if I should stop it, restart it, I don't know. Okay, John chapter 5, verse 25. Most assuredly, I say to you, he who hears my word and believes in him who sent me has everlasting life and shall not come into judgment, but has passed from death into life. In 1 Corinthians 1:21, for since the wisdom of the world, no, I'm sorry, for since in the wisdom of God, the world through wisdom did not know God. So the world using its own wisdom, that tree created itself. The sun and moons, they created themselves. That makes all the sense to me. This earth, it created itself. My heart, it just created itself. That's man's wisdom. So through our wisdom, we don't know God, because in our wisdom, we take credit for everything. Uh, so he says, for since in the wisdom of God, so here's God's plan. The world through wisdom did not know God. This is God's plan. The world through its own wisdom doesn't get God. It pleased God through the foolishness of the message preached to save those who believe. So God says, here's how I'm going to get the message. Not through their wisdom. I'm going to send the Bible. I'm going to send the Messiah. I'm going to send prophets and preach the message and say, hey, I know how you think the world created itself and the mountains just appeared and the ocean just decided to appear. But here's the truth. There is a God. He created it all. So through the foolishness of preaching, I'm just going to send somebody right into their face to tell them what the truth is. And if they believe that, then great. If not, they can just stick to their own wisdom. Matthew 11:25. At that time, Jesus answered and said, I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and prudent and revealed them to babes. So the people, and by that, the people who think they know it all, you've hidden it from them. They're not going to get it through their own wisdom. Babes who believe, if you say, hey, there's Santa Claus, okay, I believe. You say, hey, there's a Jesus, there's a God, okay, I believe. That's how you decide to get the message out, through people who want to believe. But people who think they already know it all, you haven't made a way for them to get it through their own message, through their own knowledge. You've hidden it from them in that way. If that's how they're going to get it, through what they know, they're never going to get it. The only way they're going to get it is to believe the preaching, to believe the teaching, to believe what was sent, to believe the prophets that were sent. Now, the prophets will do signs and wonders. They'll work miracles. So they won't have an excuse to not believe. Jesus comes and heals the lame. He walks in the water, heals the blind eyes. And then he says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And that's how God's going to get the message to us, not through man figuring out himself. Because then man gets the credit. You know what? I figured out my own salvation. I'm so good. But again, I'm not going to give you the credit. I'm going to hide it from you. If the way you're going to get it is through your own knowledge. 1 Corinthians 3:18-20. Let no one deceive himself. If anyone among you seems to be wise in this age, let him become a fool that he may become wise. The way you're going to become really wise during this time period is become a fool and act like you don't know anything. And say, you know what, maybe I don't know anything. Teach me something. And that's how we learn anything. If somebody's trying to teach you how to do anything and you think, oh, I already know. Okay, fine, you already know. So you have to become a fool and say, okay, I don't know. Show me. So let him become a fool, that he may become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. I mean, as far as God is concerned, the wisdom of this world that's the foolishness. For it is written, he catches the wise in their own craftiness. And again, the Lord knows the thoughts of the wise, that they are futile. Therefore, no one boasts in men. So he's not going to give us the opportunity to boast in ourselves. He says, all things are yours. Luke chapter 11, verse 52. Woe to you lawyers, for you have taken away the key of knowledge. You do not enter in yourselves, and those who are entering in you hindered. Now, again, I'm worried that no one is getting this. So I think I'm going to end and try again for this second part of this. So I apologize if you were listening and it was working for you, but I'm going to end the video. And then I'm going to start it again from here just to see if maybe I get a better connection or something like that. Because Robin hasn't come back to say, oh, now it's working. Okay. So I'm going to end and then start again.